Creation 101. I'm so excited about this series. We sincerely apologize about the delay, but we're going to jump into it, and in no time we'll be out of here. So this is part of a 3 weeks, 3-part series tagged the World Creation series. And for the first day, we want to talk about the foundation of world creation. Subsequently, on the second day, we'll be talking about positioning for world creation. And then on the last day, we'll talk about vehicles for world creation. And I'm so excited about this because I've had a lot of people reach out to me asking me, Manasseh, how do we create wealth? Now, I'm on my own journey of creating wealth, but through my journey, I've discovered a lot of things. I've told people I do consulting and I have a investment business. So I'm always interacting with people in the pursuit of wealth creation, whether through a business and through an investment. And I'm going to narrow down what these people have in common. My knowledge I'm going to share with you does not necessarily only comes from experience, because for most of us, even I and even the most exposed people, personal experience are always limited. But I'm well read, and I've seen what is the common denominator. Today, I'm not going to come and tell you that do this specific thing. But I'm going to tell you what anyone, does not matter what your position is, as a teacher, as a business person, as a wealthy person, what can you do to create wealth? So, and perhaps you have created wealth. Some of the things we'll talk about, it only reinforce what you already know. And sometimes we are getting results without knowing the real thing that is bringing those results. If you, after this class, hopefully, you look back and say, okay, so this is what was working for me. Now, let me start with this. There's no financial situation that is permanent. And when I say this, I'm not saying this from a perspective that you can only move from poverty to wealth. Even wealth is not permanent. What keeps it permanent are the things that we do. That's why this is important for everyone. It's no matter whether you have wealth, millions or in billions, chances are, as long as life keeps coming, it always depletes. So there's always that possibility to make more or to sustain what you already have. And perhaps you are in a place where you do not have enough, or you don't have anything. I want to tell you that nothing is permanent, and the permanence is fact. The impermanence is fact, because there's something you can do about your financial situation. The second good news that I have for you is you have the power to determine your financial future, your financial situation. What I'll be talking about are not tools that are available to only the rich. It's something that anyone can sit back and say, okay, at least a live stream from as a consultant and as a CEO of a private equity. There are two main problems I see people having the most when it comes to their journey of wealth creation. And the two problems are, first of all, people have the challenge of making money. And the second challenge is that every person you see, but I don't know how to keep it. What can I do? And I'm here to share some wonderful ideas with you. I believe that the ideas we'll share with you, they are deep. It's not just going to be motivational content. I know most of the times you've heard what we've talked about, but not many people have been able to connect it directly to the idea of wealth creation. And this is what I want to help you do today. We're going to talk about 3 factors that makes for wealth, that 3 ingredients, 3 factors for wealth creation. And it might sound so simple, but that's the beauty of it. What what has kept people is not because the, the journey of wealth creation is not easy. It's just that most of the times it takes intentional work. And that's what most people are not willing to do. So what is the first factor for wealth creation? I know you've heard this, is the mind. Poverty or wealth all starts from a mindset. And why is mindset important? Most of the times people will say, it seems this is just motivational talk when you say everything you have is just a reflection of your mind. But there's so much truth in it. Some years back, the book Think and Grow Rich became very popular for a lot of people. Not because the idea is so ridiculous. How can our thoughts, how can our mindset produce our wealth? But today, so happy to share with you how this happens. Now, before I jump into each individual factor, I want to lay them out entirely. The first factor for wealth creation is the mind. The mind is the most important tool you have, is the most important factor you have in your journey of wealth creation. Remember, I said it's the most important. When the most powerful tool you have accessible to you is relationships, our relationships. And then the third tool you have in your arsenal for wealth creation is time. Time is the most valuable resource you have. If you know how to gather these resources together, you always produce wealth. And let me, from the early start, let me even break some of the myths we have about wealth creation. People will tell you that wealth creation is about providing value or solving a problem. But I'm here to break that myth for you. And thankfully, in our next session, we'll talk about positioning for wealth creation. But in the truth, there are many of you that have value. You know you are good at what you do. You've gone to school, you have degrees. These are forms of value. But why is it that people with value struggle? Now, this is coming to the crux of it. Are we together? So now we will start with the mindset. Now, I'll connect each of these two to the problems we have. Like I said, the first problem is the problem of making money. How does the mind helps us in this? Now, whether we like it or not, everything we produce comes from the product of what is within our mind. When we talk about personal development, it seems as if it seems unnecessary, but it is through personal development that will add value. No, the mind will help you find a way to deliver your value to the market. If I ask you what can you do and get paid, most people will not struggle to mention 10 things. Some will say I can speak, some people will say I can sing, some people will say I can sew. But what is the problem? I think the problem is most of us struggle on the know-how of how to deliver value to the market, because taking value to the market is its own challenge. When people say making money is about finding a problem to solve, well, that might be true, but most of the problem you solve is not even to your client. It is in the process of delivering your value to the market. Let me give you an instance. Someone knows how to sing very well and people enjoy their singing, but they don't get paid for it. Why? Because they do not understand. Look, for instance, now they start posting every day. There are so much challenges on the way of packaging what you have to deliver value. There are so much challenges on the process. And one of the things you must ask yourself is, or one of the things that stops us is that we've not built our mind sufficiently to handle the problems that comes through the process of wealth creation. Some of the problems that come through wealth creation, for instance, might be, how do we handle rejection? Have we built ourselves enough to understand how to communicate our value, how to market? I always emphasize that creativity is value, but resourcefulness is your ability to convert value into money. And most of us, we do not lack creativity, we do not lack skill sets. What we lack is resourcefulness. And that's why personal development is such a important foundation in the journey of wealth creation. So don't hold back. If you ask yourself, if I have value or I have a degree, what is stopping me from taking it into the marketplace? By developing yourself, you'll be able to identify a lot of opportunities. Francis Bacon said a wise man makes more opportunity than he finds. Most of us, there's so much opportunities around us. I work with a lot of clients, a lot of business people, and I see a lot of things that the kind of wealth they make. And a lot of people say, well, there's no money in the country. Well, you've not trained your mind to see opportunities. It's as simple as that. Your first journey to wealth creation is prepare your mind. Now, in equipping your mind through personal development, you help your mind build the capacity to make money. But not just only that, our mind is responsible for us in keeping the money we have. How is that? Let me explain this to you. Most people spend money because they don't have their mind in order. Anytime we feel frustrated, anytime we feel, especially in the process of delivering value, when you get rejected, when the things get tough, because we've not trained and put our mind in order, the standards of our mind is in question. Those emotional leaks we have, we always run out, we find a way of releasing the money that's with us. I don't know that I understand this concept. The importance of the mind plays a role in not just making our money but keeping our money. Most of us, our mind is so fried that critical thinking is such a major factor. It's such a major challenge for us. But through building your mind, you can make money and you can keep money. But this is not where the emphasis will be today. The second emphasis will be on, okay, before I move to the second factor for wealth creation, which is relationships, let me give you a practical example on how the mind produces our wealth. Chances are, there are certain courses that if you read, chances are you will make more income than the average person. For instance, as a lawyer, as a doctor, as an engineer. Why is that why is the opportunity more than others? It's because they've trained themselves in they've trained their mind to become these things. Being an engineer means that you know certain things about structure, about buildings. Being a lawyer means you understand things about the law and there's value in these things. Whatever you want to, if you want to create value for yourself, you must put your mind to learning particular skill sets. Everything together. And what differentiates a manager and someone that works under them is simply what they know that the other person does not know. For a simple manager, what he knows might be his leadership ability. That is why when I'm talking about resourcefulness, I'm saying that one of the ways you can simply be resourceful is complement what you have with another thing. Simply, it's possible that you have the ability to sing, but you don't know how to and the ability to communicate your value, how to market or how to sell. This simple joining of us, and all of this is part of the job of our creative mind. But second factor, which is the most powerful, is even more, like I said, the mind is more important, but relationships are the most powerful. Let me give you a practical example of how relationships forms our uh, create our own wealth. For instance, almost everyone that comes to you comes from another person, whether it's through a job. If you have a job, it means that you have a relationship with an employer. If you're a business person, it means that you have a relationship with customers. And every financial reward that comes from us would most definitely come from another person. Now, times are changing. There are times where the mind plays a bigger role. For instance, now, people that know how to trade, they might not interact with another person, and because the world is changing. If someone can still buy cryptocurrency and keep it for a while and increase, at this that angle is the product of the mind, but there's also the product of relationships. Relationships are one of the major drivers. I will tell you that there are people that just because they have the right relationships, even if they do not have the proper value, they get more opportunity, more wealth than people that had value. That's why I say it is more powerful than even the mind. But the beauty of the thing is that if you can combine these two, your productivity will be 10x. Relationship is the second factor for wealth creation. So you can ask yourself, who do I need to know? And that's why networking is a very vital part of the human activity. Most of the times, we restrict most of our opportunities to where we come from. But most of the times, where we come from um, cannot, or let me say, does not provide the necessary opportunity we need. But if you want more upward mobility in wealth creation, you must put yourself in different cycles. I know it sounds shallow, but that's the way the world works. If you want to start looking for opportunities, find your location, move your location. You're not a tree. There's a reason why people in certain geographical zones earn more money than people in other geographical zones. And if you look at it, it is because the size of the transactions that happen in those environments, it makes people rich very fast. There are other places where their talents are not appreciated. I usually help people find ways to convert their talents into wealth. And most of the times, it always comes with a key relationship. You can tell yourself, as a singer, what do you need? You might need a, a producer, you might need a record company. These are all relationships you need. Or you can simply has been fried by low attention span, our inability to do deep work. So most of our work is so superficial and want to get paid for it. But we must change the dynamics if you want to create long, sustainable wealth. But the second factor for wealth creation, which is relationships, there is no cycle that most of most of most of the wealthiest people are not people that have superior value. there are people that have superior relationships. The last factor for wealth creation is how you utilize your time. There are times that we have access to relationships, especially now in the um, social media age. We have access to relationships. We have access to uh, you have a medium to sell your value. But most of the times, how we utilize our time is what stops us from making money. You hear people are into business. What do you sell? They will tell you what they sell. But if you ask them how many hours or how many minutes do you spend a day talking to people, you realize that they spend less than 30 minutes, less than an hour. Most of the times, our result is directly proportional to the time we put into our value, into the dishing out of our value or looking for prospects. You might sell properties. Life is a game of average. The more you do things, the more your chances of winning is. You can simply tell yourself, um, even if it means I have to talk to 100 people to get 2 people, get it done. But most of the times, little discouragement, we don't really put in the work. But that's why time is very important, because the more you put in the work, the more the results, the more the outcome, which is very important. So first, your mind. Second, relationships. Third, your uh your time. Now, this is just the basic foundation, and we've passed through it. Now I'll be talking about something very important. I want to talk to you about personal financial planning. Financial planning. I'm going to talk about certain ideas about financial wealth creation is. First, um, financial planning is having a clear goal. Now, I'm not going to talk. This will solve your problem of keeping money. Is that if you build a habit of saving, no matter how small the money that comes is, if you build a habit of saving, chances are whatever comes to you, 100% will. It does not, because if you build a habit, you will learn that for every money I get, every money that comes to you will turn to bread. It will turn to, you will see it as a harvest. But the habit of saving will put you in that frame of mind that everything that comes to me, but unless there is firm budgeting, most of the times when the money comes, it will always be channeled to um, things that are not worth it. So before even money comes to you, make a budget that this is the money that will go for this is money that goes for this. If you already assign what your money will go for, chances are you would not spend it for frivolities. Sometimes you look back in your month and say, why did the money go to? I did not achieve anything with it, and the money has disappeared, because money hardly stays. But if you understand that you are the kind of person that when money comes, it's always going towards something, make sure you write a budget that, okay, if money comes, I'll make sure it goes towards this direction. Are we together? Now, I'll just introduce what we'll be talking about in more detail um, next week. And that's the idea of positioning. This is the introductory session. It's not going to be long. We'll soon be out of here. But positioning is more important than value creation. I know value is important, but if you learn to position yourself, you will get more reward for what you have. So, how can you position yourself? I'm just going to give you uh, the basics one, the basic one. Now, from next week is going to be more practical, but one of the basic ways is for every person you meet. Remember, I said wealth creation, the factor creation is the mind and relationships. For every person you make an impression in their mind. Because immediately people see you, they've already sized you up, they already place you somewhere in their mind. Sometimes your appearance is what will position you in a better place in their mind. How you behave, how you react. And the, the more you invest in personal development, the more you build yourself in such a way that when people perceive you, they put you in a high place. They are willing to bring better opportunities to you. They are willing to pay you more. But unless you've learned how to position yourself in the good graces of people, chances are people will always beat down your value, or they will pay far less than your worth. But there are certain ways that if you carry yourself, you package yourself, you position yourself in people's mind that when you make a demand for fair value, most of the times they will not argue with it. I mean, the real estate world where transactions are done in the millions and billions. And as a young person, you go out there and there's a fixed rate for the money. But most of the times, when this, based on the perception you give them, based on where they position in their mind, they always beat down your price. If you say pay, you get paid 5%, the entire way you position yourself must be worth it. So position yourself properly in the minds of people. Positioning of the mind, that's what is important. Second positioning, I'll just talk about two more. Second position that is important, um, your journey of wealth creation is position yourself in high value corners. Whether we like it or not all environments are equal. If you want to increase your chances at wealth creation, put yourself in environments where wealth creation is a norm. There's this the book, the idea that there's this book called the world is flat, and the idea is that the boundaries that existed before do not exist now. Most of the young richest people around me that I know, that, and I'm not saying that you can't offer your services locally, but always find high value corners that will be willing to pay for the same value you're offering where you're paid less. A simple change of your digital location. I'm not talking about just geographical. A little change of a digital location can change the trajectory of your opportunities. So this is it. And then lastly, I'll talk about positioning yourselves based on the times and seasons of our age. Right now, it does not matter the value you have. If you are not online or you don't know how to use digital tools and technology, chances are people will beat you to the market. People would uh, create more wealth than you can. Our age is defined by technology. It is defined by even new opportunities like cryptocurrency, blockchain. It does not matter what you do. How can you incorporate your value with the tools of the time? Most of us, like I said, value is not the problem. We already have the necessary value, but we've not learned to deploy and complement our value with the tools of our times. You have a phone, you have a talent, but nobody knows. You're afraid to be seen. I understand that um, your first times might not be perfect, but you must not look back because everything you have to learn. I'm telling you that this is one of the first times we're having a live session on camera. Usually, I talk on from my phone where I see my audience, or we have a conversation with my audience. But this is new to me, and I adapt it because I understand that this is where the world is. Quality is important. Doing business online is important. I have a physical opportunity community. I understand that the value I bring to the world exceeds just my immediate environment. So position yourself based on the times and seasons of your time, of your age. Now, let me just add something else because I want you to take action. You can position yourself by taking action. There are some actions that are available only to people who have started. Most of you are waiting until you become very good before you start selling. You start putting what you have out there. If there's anything I want you to take away from this session is that value is not the most important factor in wealth creation. It is positioning yourself. Someone that is not as good as what you do, as long as they are out there with their ability and they're always reminding people that they do that thing, chances are when people want to make a buying decision, they are the first people that will come to their mind. They'll not say, okay, who is the most qualitative person? They'll say, who is the loudest? So take action. There are some opportunities that people will look at and say, okay, how long have you been doing this thing? The fact that you've started, maybe you've registered your company or you've started posting about what you do, it already gives you an edge above other people. You can simply look back, even when you are not so good enough, but as long as you started, there are signs that you can look back and say, I started this thing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And it opens up certain new opportunities. It adds to your credibility. When you go out there and say, okay, I have the value. Value is a given. That's why I didn't want to even talk about value. But how can I position myself properly for the opportunities that are available to me? This is where I will stop for today. I want to make this very brief so that you can always watch it again because this is the foundation of what wealth creation is. Next week, we're going to talk about, because I am a investment consultant, I'm going to talk about more technical things that comes to, okay, how to do business or how to get ahead in your job, or stuff like that. But I also talk about the vehicles that are available for you to create wealth. We will start from the perspective of Africa itself and then opportunities that are available for you globally. But these are the foundations that makes for wealth creation. That you know how to utilize the tool of your mind, you know how to utilize the tools of relationship, and you know how to utilize and allocate your time properly towards your desired goal. I wish you the very best in your journey of wealth creation. Thank you. I'll see you next Friday. This is just our first session. Um, See you next week. And make sure you invite someone, you subscribe, and you like our channel. Thank you. Ciao. You can end it.